Let me start this episode with something you need to hear. And I want you to actually take it in. You do not need perfect form to start strength training. You do not need a fancy gym. And you definitely do not need to look like you know what you're doing. You just need the basics. Most women don't quit strength training because they're unmotivated. They quit because they feel unsure. Unsure if they're doing the exercise correctly, unsure if they're going to hurt themselves, unsure how to progress, and unsure if it's even worth it. And when you can't see someone demonstrating the moves, like in a video, that feeling gets louder. But here's the truth I want you to breathe in right now. Strength training isn't complicated. It isn't intimidating. And it isn't a secret code you're supposed to magically know. Your body already uses the 5 movement patterns we're talking about today, every single day. You've been doing them your whole life. Now, we're just going to do them with intention behind it. My goal here is by the end of this episode, you're going to understand exactly how to move, what cues to listen for, what to feel, and how to know when you're doing it safely. No guessing, no confusion, and no perfection required. All right, Rebel, let's dig in. Welcome to the Love Your Naked Ass podcast, the Midlife Rebellion edition. I'm your host, Kimberly Riggins, health and life coach, holistic nutritionist, and your go-to bullshit detector for all things midlife. If you've ever rolled your eyes at the phrase aging gracefully, you're my kind of rebel. Because midlife isn't about slowing down. It's about showing up, speaking up, and maybe flipping a few tables along the way. So grab your coffee or your cocktail. I'm not here to judge. It's time we raise some hell, laugh a little, and love our naked asses again. Let's do this. Hey, welcome back. Today we're breaking down the 5 core movement patterns that every woman over 40 should master. These will help you build muscle, boost your metabolism, and move confidently. And we're going to do it without video, without fancy equipment, and without overthinking it. All right, let's go one pattern at a time. You ready? Let's start with my favorite, the squat. I want you to think of the squat as the sit back like you're lowering into a chair movement. I know you do it every day because if you work in a corporate job, 9 out of 10 times you're sitting in a chair. When you're watching your favorite show, you're sitting on the couch. How do we do a squat? All right, do it with me. Stand up, and I want you to stand with your feet shoulder width apart. I want your toes slightly turned out, and I want you to lift your chest gently, like someone is tugging your shirt collar upward. And I want you to push your hips back first, and then bend your knees. Do it with me. While you're doing this, I want to give you some cues. So the visual cue here is, I want you to imagine you're trying to tap your butt onto a chair behind you. Very slow and controlled. So here's what you should feel. You should feel something in your thighs, your glutes, and your core should turn on as you're lowering. Now, what are the common mistakes here? Most of the time I see women that shift into your toes. So they shift their weight into their toes instead of their heels. So think, press the floor away with your heels. Let's try that one more time. Stand back up. Stand with your feet shoulder width apart. Reminder, toes slightly turned out. Lift your chest, push your hips back, and then bend your knees and lower as if you're sitting in a chair. That is the first foundational move, the squat. Let's move on to move number 2, the hinge. Think about the hinge like closing the door with your butt. Imagine you have grocery bags in your hands and your car door is wide open. What do most women do? They shove it with their butt. Or maybe that's just me. All right. This pattern protects your lower back and strengthens your entire backside. So let's talk about how to do it. Again, if you want to work with me, stand on up. I want you to have a slight bend in your knees. I want you to push your hips back, leading with your hips, not your knees. Keep your spine long, as if you're holding a credit card between your shoulder blades. And then lower until you feel a stretch in your hamstrings. The visual cue here is close a car door with your butt. That's the motion. What you should feel is your hamstrings and your glutes, not your lower back. Some common mistakes that I see is that women will do a squat instead of the hinge. And if your knees bend too much, you want to reset and try again. All right. The third movement is the push. Let's imagine this as the press the world away from you. So the push includes things like push-ups, chest presses, and shoulder presses. So let's talk push-ups because they're one of the most accessible forms of strength training and you can do them absolutely anywhere. And if I'm really being honest, these are one of my least favorite exercises, but I do them all the time because I know how important they are. So let's talk about how to do it. So I want you to start on an incline like a counter or a couch. This is the beginner version. And I want your hands under your shoulders. I want you to keep your rib cage down, not flared. Your elbows are going to angle slightly back as you lower. The visual cue here for you is your body is a straight line from head to heels, lowering like a respectful bow. And where you should feel this is in your chest, your shoulders, your triceps, and even your core because it will engage to help keep you stable. If you are not someone who does push-ups regularly, start elevated. Use a couch, use a bench, use a table, and then work your way down to the floor because that will get harder. And of course, when I'm going through all of these movements, if you have any questions whatsoever, please don't hesitate to reach out to me on Instagram at Kimberly Riggins, and I'd be happy to send you some videos or to discuss the movements with you. All right, let's move to pattern movement number 4, the pull. I always like to think of a pull as the squeeze oranges in your armpits movement, probably because it just makes me laugh. But these pulling movements are all about correct posture, they support shoulder health, and they counteract daily slouching, especially for all of us who sit way too much. So how do we do this? You want a slight hinge forward. Your arms are extended. And you want to pull your elbows towards your ribs. So imagine you have maybe 2 water bottles in each hand. You're going to hinge forward slightly. Imagine taking those bottles and moving your elbows towards your ribs with the bottles of water. As you get stronger, you can add dumbbells, you can add kettlebells, you can add a barbell. There's so many different options. Now, the visual cue here is, again, imagining crushing oranges in your armpits as you row the weight back. What you should feel is your mid-back muscles, but not your neck. The common mistake I see with the pool is when women start to put too much stress on their shoulders and they start shrugging their shoulders and bringing their shoulders up to their ears. So I really want you to concentrate on keeping them down, almost like you're sliding down towards your back pockets, right? And if you just even try to do that right now, if you bring your shoulders down and you elongate your neck, it actually feels really good because we carry a lot of stress in the back of our necks and shoulders. All right. The last foundational pattern is the carry. Think of this as the walk tall like you're wearing a crown. This pattern builds real life strength. It incorporates core stability, balance, and even grip. So how do we do it? So again, if you don't have weights, water bottles will do. But if you have weights, you want to hold them at your side, one in each hand. And I want you to stand up really tall. And I want you to walk slow and controlled forward movements. So basically, take steps forward. The visual cue here is imagine you're balancing a crown on your head. Steady, strong, regal even. What you should feel here is your core, your grip strength. You may feel it in your shoulders, and your deep stabilizing muscles working together. All right, so let's put this into practice. This week, I want you to focus on mastery, not intensity. So I just want you to pick one movement pattern per day, and I want you to spend 5, maybe 10 minutes practicing it with slow, intentional reps. Your goal is not to sweat. It's to learn your body, to build confidence, and to create a foundation that actually sticks. Here's the reality. Consistency is always greater than perfection. As a reminder, if you need help with this, I do have a strength training guide that you can download for absolutely free. And I've also added exercises that you can do that fall under each of these pattern movements. Let's talk about next week. Next week, we're talking about something that shows up everywhere. In your workouts, in your relationships, in your self-talk, and most importantly, how you show up in your own damn life. Perfectionism. We're going to completely dismantle this belief that you need to do it right every single time. Perfectionism is the fastest way to stay stuck. I should know I would call myself a recovering perfectionist. So if you've been waiting for the perfect plan, the perfect moment, the perfect version of you to arrive before you start something new, you need next week's episode. All right, this is your permission slip to start imperfect, to start small, and to start today. Your midlife body doesn't need perfection, she needs participation. You're doing better than you think. I hope to see you next week. And that's a wrap for this week's episode of the Love Your Naked Ass podcast, the Midlife Rebellion edition. If you're loving the show, be sure to smash that subscribe button, drop a rating, or leave a review. Because we're not here to tweak the old narrative. We're here to torch it, rewrite it, and make damn sure every woman knows midlife is her prime. Don't forget to join me on Substack at Rebel Midlife, where we get raw, real, and a little rebellious about what it means to thrive in this chapter. I'm Kimberly Riggins, signing off with this reminder: midlife isn't a crisis, it's your comeback story. Catch you next time, Rebel.